you're having a good day. This is a follow-up from a previous subject I've worked on before. So root over rock. I will post the previous link in the description and in the comments. I started this at the same time. Actually, I started this with the video that is actually my second video, and in that video, or even in that project for me, you can see that the rock is really clean, where this one it is not. So it kind of tells me two things. I mean, first off, that one, like this one was actually in there with it. At some point I realized that I didn't want two trees over the same rock, and the other one was actually grabbing a hold of the rock. This one was just kind of growing next to it. So I pulled this one out and actually took some of the longer roots and put it over this one, and I left it in, I left this buried in the pot. You can see from the earlier pictures in the earlier videos that I had this buried in the pot for a long period of time. And that just kind of tells me that I had it in there for longer, and that actually helped it kind of grip the rock better, gave some better root over the rock look to it, but it also just kind of made some of this algae stuff kind of stick in there a little bit longer around the root and everything, especially right in this area here. So anyhow, when I made the video before, I already had the wire on there. This was wired up April 10th. What is today, like July 16th? Or actually today's, I think, July 18th. But so I've had it wired up since April 10th. It's probably, this was actually one of the first times I ever really kind of wired a tree out like this or whatever. I could almost call it detail wiring, except I missed a couple. And anyhow, it was the first time I really ever did a project quite like this. And then what I did was I just noticed all the leaves were getting really big on it, but it really wasn't ready for the wire to come off. So in the other video I pruned it all the way down and then just kind of left the wire on there. And now I can see the wires biting a little bit. It's probably the longest I've ever left wire on any tree. So I'm going to go ahead and take the wire off, and then I've got a myriad of things. I've got a toothbrush and some water. I've got a wooden skewer. I've got a little plastic, it's a plant stake is what I use, but it's got a little sharpened end. And I've actually got a wire brush that I ordered that I thought was going to be a lot smaller when I got it. But I keep forgetting to order another smaller one or whatever. But I'm going to go to work on that. I don't know how much of that I'm going to show, but I am going to take the wire off first. I decided that I've taken it outside to give it water a couple times just to try to wash some of that topsoil from between the roots and the rock. And I noticed that it may not have, it wasn't draining all that great, and I actually think, I kind of remember thinking it just a little bit because I tried to get some of that substrate down on the drain holes before I put the rock on there. And I actually think one of the rocks, or the rock might have been plugged. There are 2 drain holes in this pot. And I think one of the rocks might have been kind of clogging it up a little bit and not letting it drain right, which could be part of the reason it isn't growing all that great. And also just kind of why there's a bunch of algae showing up, because of course it will if it's not draining properly. So I picked this end up quite a bit, and actually I think it's starting to look a lot better already. But I would add some more substrate in there, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to get it out in the rain and the weather, like I thought would clean it off a little bit better to begin with, and just see what happens and keep a real close eye on the drainage. The last time I did pick the rock up and then I took it out and put more water on it, and it drained a lot quicker than it did the time before. So I do think maybe the rock might have been leaning right on that drainage hole, and that might have been adding to a bunch of other problems, but got it cleaned up pretty good. The dirtiest part now is where that rock was buried just a few minutes ago, but I think it's looking a little bit better.